Aries 1X used Windchill as our primary data source for storing data as well as working through our boards and reviews. At the beginning of the project, it was extremely clunky and slow, mainly because, one, we were using it in a way that it hadn't been chosen, hadn't been designed to. We actually overfilled the Windchill environment, which even made the problem worse because it slowed down, people got timeout errors, and they had trouble even accessing documents at various times. We did learn over the course of the project, though, a few real key valuable tools, and Windchill is functioning for us now in our data area where, one, we've got segmented projects where we don't have them overloaded anymore. We also have the number of users and the access limited to those that need it instead of having everybody access to everything, because that also puts a lot of overhead on it where we were filling the buffers. We also used it for a review process of our drawings. That was very successful in using in that limited area, capturing the reviews, and then putting out the integrated drawings with including those inputs for the review. So all that worked very well. So we're using the tool now in a more efficient manner that would have helped us at the beginning had we had some good training and understanding of the tool. But we started out using the tool because as a directive. So we had no training or anything up front. One lesson that we really ran into at the end is we allowed a lot of our IPTs, which was our individual our product teams, to develop some of their tools and store them outside of the Windchill environment, which was the final tool that we needed everything in. So at the end, there was a lot of cleanup activity that we're still running through to get it all back into the authoritative tool. It would have been a lot better for the program and easier access all the way along had we all been working in one tool. And the one tool we happened to use at the end and we'd been required to was the Windchill environment. The Windchill environment works well, and one thing we learned on that is instead of having one major project, it's better if you have a lot of little projects and link them together, because we actually were the first to actually hit the threshold for the Windchill environment where it starts slowing us down. And that's mainly because we were way ahead of the mainline program. We were doing drawings, we were developing hardware, so our data, we were developing a lot more data a lot faster. So we sort of overfilled all the buffers. So that was something we learned, that breaking it apart, and the mainline has done that. But at front, everybody was trying to keep it in one project. But we found the limits of that. So those are two key things, is not having everything in one Windchill environment, have it in segregated, but then linking them to the main. And then the other was, one, keeping all the IPTs in one particular tool from the start of the program, so that way you don't have a lot of closeout activities. Our CM process we did manually in Windchill. So we really, huge amount of effort was put, man hours, time, and everything. I really think there should be a tool that makes that more automated, because one, we were very much one deep on our team, and two, it was so manual. There's got to be a way to there's got to be programs and all. We just didn't have time to go look for them. So that CM function needs to be a automated process versus a manual process.
Yeah, another lesson that I think was key was in 1X, we were asked by Constellation to go ahead and try to come up with a method to do paperless processing of the hardware. That means not just I typed it in on computer, I printed it out, handed it to someone else, and he went and hard stamped it. That means I never used a piece of paper for the entire flow. It was all electronic. Now in Shuttle, we use some paperless processing on the ground side. We have a product called Maximo. That's for all of our facility maintenance type items. And so those folks have been using paperless environments for 8 to 10 years. And Shuttle, we had never done that on the flight side. So this was all new, and it was a big challenge. So we had to go through and make sure all of our business processes could accommodate this new tool. We said going in, we're going to use commercial off-the-shelf product. We're not going to modify it, because anytime you modify a commercial off-the-shelf product, you can do it, but there's going to be a cost. So we said we're not going to change that at all. We're going to change our business processes. So we modeled our business processes to meet the tool. And we ended up launching the vehicle successfully at the end of October, and we never used one piece of paper to do any work instructions on the floor at KSC. At the other sites, they had whatever their heritage systems used in order to assemble the various pieces before it got to KSC. But once it got here, all of our processing was done electronically. The engineers authored the work instructions. They sent them out for approvals. The technicians, quality personnel, executed those work instructions and bought off all the buys electronically. There was not one physical piece of paper we used for 1X. And to me, that was a huge success story. And the lesson is that, you can do this even with a complex system. It's not like Shuttle, but, in terms of business processes, it was no simpler, really, than Shuttle. We still had to have USA, NASA, and the contractors review the paperwork. And we did that. We did that successfully. So, and in my mind, when we got down to really that last day when we had a lightning strike, it was the night before launch, we came in and we had to go through and we had to basically do a lot of retests in order to get flight rationale. We were able to do that really because of Soluna, because we were able to make real-time changes to the procedure. Everybody could see what was worked, what the values were, input, and so we could really realize we've done all the testing we needed to do. We satisfied all the requirements that we needed to meet in order to give flight rationale to the launch authority team that day. So the lesson to me is that you can use paperless processing to process flight hardware, and you can do it successfully. And the benefit, an overall benefit, is that it's quicker to do changes to procedure. It's quicker to close out those procedures, and process control of the procedure you're working is actually better, because the tools that are out there, various tools, allow you to basically put in limits that nobody can go beyond. So if you are processing a piece of hardware and you violate a requirement, it will not physically let you move out of that procedure.
We tried to leverage heritage tools just as much as we can, and two of the ones that we borrowed from Shuttle was our Change Management Express tool and our Action Management Express tool, and these worked out very well, especially in the later months of the mission when we had a lot of changes, a lot of actions coming through. And what these management tools allowed us to do is leverage the email system as a change came in or an action came in to get that distributed out to the folks who needed to review it, get their comments in, get those comments addressed, incorporated, and be ready for the board where we needed to go implement those changes. So those worked out very well, leveraging those heritage systems. So we've passed that on to our long-term to look for those type of systems, make sure they're available for the long-term program. One of the areas that we also leveraged was in one of our financial management tools. And this tool was based out of our contractor and was really built for a quarterly reporting period. With Ares 1X, things were happening fast and furious, and we really needed something that reported out at the monthly or even the weekly level. One thing we didn't realize in leveraging that, though, is using a reporting tool that's based on a quarterly, we were trying to cut that a little closer. We could make some decisions in between the quarters, and we realized that it really wasn't built for that. That some of the estimates that were coming in before were either low or high. So our recommendation, our lessons learned to long term, if you're using a tool like that and you use it differently than how it was applied, in this case quarterly versus monthly or weekly, you have to look very close to make sure you're not making erroneous assumptions in there on the data in between the reporting periods.